Green Acres is the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Land spreading out so far and wide.
Curiously Veg Radio is brought to you by Thrive Market. Thrive Market is absolutely wonderful because it's a revolutionary online marketplace with a mission to make healthy living easy and affordable for everyone. We use it ourselves. We love ordering from them and getting food delivered right to our door. They also have organic and GMO-free products and up to 50% off products every day. They also have free shipping. I mean, come on, you can't get better than that. Say if you're wanting, I don't know, Bragg's Nutritional Yeast to try out some nooch on your favorite little veggie dishes, you can get it from Thrive Market. And Thrive Market's members pay a low member fee of $59.95, and that's less than $5 a month, and currently offer free national shipping on orders of $49. Like I said, free shipping, can't beat it. So start your free month trial now. Yes, that's it, free month. You get a whole free month of getting whatever goodies you want delivered right to your door by going to CuriouslyVegRadio.com/Thrive Market and sign up and get that good stuff delivered to your door.
And Curiously Veg Radio is sponsored by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CuriouslyVegRadio. Between working on all the sites we have and getting this magazine ready, I don't have too much time to read. But what I do have time to do is listen to How Not to Die, Discovery of Foods Scientifically Proven to Prevent and Reverse Disease, written by Michael Greger, MD. You can get that title and over 180,000 other titles for your Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Get your free audiobook download now at audibletrial.com/CuriouslyVegRadio.
You're listening to Curiously Veg Radio, WCVR, featuring the Vegan Renegade and the Geek.
So it's like your blankie.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
I'll
carry on not even wear it.
Your new nickname is Linus.
I accept that. Much like the orange peanut, I accept that.
Nobody will get that reference.
Nobody with the reference. And what's always fun about these references no one else gets, hey guys.
Why wouldn't they get hey guys?
I don't know, but they might not know about orange peanut. I accept you. Anyway, hey guys, welcome to episode 21 of Curiously Veg Radio.
Oh my God, our show's old enough to drink.
I break the news to you. It's been drinking for a while. We probably should have a talk with it. But with you always are your hosts, Dave the Geek and
Hope the Vegan Renegade.
And so the hell is this all about?
Insanity.
Right?
For I have a feeling that I'm in some sort of coma, and this is kind of my hell.
Fair enough.
It just keeps looping.
And looping.
It's just podcasting every day, all the day.
Hey, podcast. Hey, this is heaven, baby. Well, so what's Curiously Veg? What's Curiously Veg all about?
Speaking of heaven, what's Curiously Veg about?
I'm in heaven. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, you didn't have any sound effect either.
No, that's okay.
Okay, well, Curiously Veg is a movement that will open a dialogue between vegan, vegetarian, plant-based, and non-plant-based people alike in an effort to educate and open the hearts and minds of people to a benefit of a plant-based lifestyle with their personal health, the lives of the animals, which is important today, and the well-being of the planet, and every day. And we welcome everybody to this conversation.
Where we educate
not intimidate. Oh, yeah.
And I point in multiple directions.
And I have no idea what you're doing.
I said directions, to be clear. I said multiple directions. I'll make sure everybody listening understands I said directions.
Dave's having a little bit of a moment today.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of little moments.
Well, Matt's the one that saw this dog that doesn't exist running around the yard this morning. So
he saw Ghost. Ghost is a dire wolf, and he's magical.
I'm surprised that you can remember the names of the wolves.
That's all I remember from the show. We watched Game of Thrones. Hope's always like, "What is who?" Okay, it's like Vothron Rothan of the House of Crony. I'm like, who the hell is that guy? Well, he's the one that is fighting for the throne. I'm like, oh, he's the one that ate that guy. Yeah, okay, so he's the one that ate. That's how I know.
Yeah,
people,
keep it simple.
what they did.
I give them names like blind face girl and
No, like I remember people in these like type of shows like what they did or like what they look like. Like, oh, she's the one that's nude all the time. Like that's the dragon.
that's pretty much
chick.
how you know. I mean, the girl would go with the boobs. Yes, the girl with the boobs.
No, pretty much. That's pretty much how my brain mostly works. But anyway, if you like what you're hearing today and you like to support the show, you can always go to CurcyVegRadio.com.
They've already turned it off by now.
CurcyVegRadio.com/support and help support the show. Buy a cup of coffee, help us get better mics, and really help us travel because we're trying to get more conferences, things like that, and chat with everybody. And it can be a bit of a strain when you're working on your own dime sometimes. So helping the show really helps us.
With construction.
Yeah, construction. And if you like the show, if you listen on Facebook, anything like that, if you go to CurcyVegRadio.com/subscribe, gives you opportunity to subscribe through iTunes, different Android apps. We should be on pretty much everything. I strive to make sure we're all up to date and everywhere. So
They better already know what they're doing if they're listening to it.
hey, I post on Facebook, so the people listen there.
You are the Facebooker.
I am the Facebookery.
Yeah. And you're our Snapchatter, which you don't Snapchat anymore. I don't use FaceTwit.
Dude,
So.
my time is split between everything else. It's insanity.
So we had an awesome interview today.
Fantastic interview. We actually, it's someone we actually, if you listen to the the Asheville Vegan Fest, we got a chance to talk to our guest Renee King Sonnen.
Yes.
Renee King. I was saying Renee.
You know she'll call you.
I know Renee. We talked to Renee King Sonnen at Asheville Vegan Fest. She was part of the Humane Meat panel. She was on the Humane Meat Does Not Exist side.
She did fantastic on that.
She did a great job on that. Yeah, we got a chance to sit down with her about an hour, about a solid good hour, a little bit of an hour.
Yeah,
that's a reference to a show I can't remember.
She's a busy woman. We met her, and honestly, it feels like honestly to me, it felt like I had known her forever. I mean, she is a absolute delight to talk to. She's funny as hell. And her life story, it just kind of blew me away. Being for those of you who don't know, she was actually a rancher's wife. They started out as, what Texans do. You raise cows and you send them to be, food.
Killed? Murdered?
Yeah. And then she, we were picking with her because she was kind of like Green Acres. She really didn't want to be a farmer's wife and kind of found this cow and she just went in full bore because that is exactly what she is like, with this little cow that she named Rowdy Girl. And fast forward to now, it is now a farm sanctuary. She talked her husband into it, and they have saved the lives of how many cows they have? Like 50?
40 to 50, something like that.
They have 50 cows. They have pigs. They have chickens and turkeys. They've got, I know she's got some dogs. She'll hear the dogs. She's got some cats. And they're looking to expand and educate. And she talks a little bit about one cow in particular that really inspired her. And you get to hear me like bawling my eyes out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. If you're the crying type, have some tissues handy for this interview.
I don't know anybody that story won't touch. I mean, it's her story is phenomenal about turning what is considered normal and a job that you should have in Florida, and just taking the stance of these are lives and I'm not doing it anymore. And they've had to face incredible obstacles through. There was a major, like 100 years flood there. Yeah. That just destroyed pretty much the entire farm, and she got all the animals off. And
yeah, there's an opportunity for her to talk about the flood. I don't think she's gotten too deep into it. This opportunity, she really got into the flood and how she handled that.
Yeah. And
actually, there's surprising people who came and actually helped her rescue the animals and get them to a better place, which was really interesting.
Yeah, and it's she's had ups and downs and has taken everything face on. I mean, she's got people that have been against her. I don't know why.
Some haters in the group.
But I love the way that she's like, I don't even want to give them my time of day, which she shouldn't, and has just put everything towards growing Rowdy Girl and how they're trying to get it built back up and get the funds to do it. Speaking
of which, if you got to us through someone who is a bit of a Rowdy Girl hater, hi. Welcome to Cursey Veg. This is going to be awesome, and definitely listen to the full interview because I think you'll definitely get a side of her you may not be getting from others.
I mean, she is. I spoke with her before we did this, but she is doing the very best that she can with what she has, and it's not that much. I mean, they've really built this amazing.
She's going beyond that, actually.
Yeah, they built this amazing farm sanctuary, and kept it running through incredible odds, putting a lot of their money, pretty much all their lives into it. But and she loves these animals more than anybody that I've ever talked to. Have been as compassionate as can be. Even talking with other sanctuaries, you get a sense that they love them and everything. But when you talk to Renee and you see her with the animals and you see how she talks about them, it is something that it's a bond that I have not seen in very many people. It's pretty amazing, and she's an amazing person and takes things in stride, and she takes everything with laughter.
Yeah, absolutely. And take a chance on her site to watch all of her videos, and she definitely shows some behind the scenes stuff. Look at the animals. There's some really great stories on there.
Adopt an animal to help them out.
Absolutely. Of course, we'll have all of links to she can help her out and just see the videos and all about the animals, things like that. You can actually adopt an animal, so you can. You can actually help out a specific one, and she actually has a membership going right now. She talks a lot about that, different tiers, and she's actually this is new and being handled by a third party. So they're setting up a.
They're still getting their footing.
Yeah, the first 300 are what's it called? I'd find the word. Anyway, so right now she's looking for the first 300 have a little bit of a special status. So definitely we'll have a link to the site so you can see what memberships are about.
Yeah, I mean their chart. I think they're charter. They're going to call them charter members. I know they're still trying to work it out, but
charter members.
She did say that because they're still trying to build the farm back up. They usually have tours of the farm, but that's kind of I don't know when. I doubt she knows when it's going to be up. But they are looking for volunteers. So if you are going to be in the area, and you would like to meet some of their very famous cows, including Rowdy Girl and her daughter Houdini, who likes to escape from the farm. That's how she got her name, Houdini. Or any of the others, or just go and see how you can help in any way. They always take volunteers, and she always answers back. And that I would love if I get a chance to go. I'd love to go up there and just see what's going on.
Oh yeah, one day we'll take a trip out.
Yeah,
maybe one day we'll go out into the Scots when they do their competition. We'll go by see her then.
This is very true. And she was also a part. We'll have a link in below, but it's called Vegan Stories, and it's something that I recommend to everybody. There's no gore. These are all personal stories of plant-based journeys and learning to look at animals in a different way as instead of things as persons.
Yep.
And she's part of it, which it's always great to watch her talk, and I think her husband's on there too. But they have like Gene Bauer and Ed Begley Jr., Moby,
300-pound vegan.
300-pound vegan.
So I don't want to keep anybody from this fantastical conversation we had. Everybody, a little bit of fun,
laughter and fun.
Much laughter and dog barking. So everyone, please enjoy Renee King Sonnen
with Rowdy Girl Farm Sanctuary. Yeah.
He's on up there. Yep, he is.
How was Animal Rights Conference?
It was quite interesting. Yeah, I got to speak for a little bit. I was a celebrated guest.
Ooh.
So I was sitting with Moby and Leilani Munther,
Look at her dropping names, man.
Well, heck, I'm sitting with them. Jane Velez. I mean, I'm out there going, wow, look at this. Moby's to my left, Jane to my right. I mean,
Stuck in the middle.
I've been looking at your pictures on Facebook. I was like, oh, there's Moby. Have you read it? Have you read his book yet?
No.
Yeah, he's got a book out.
Really?
Yeah, he was on Rich Roll not too long ago talking about it. It was very interesting and odd talk. It was pretty good though. I liked it, but I haven't read his book yet either.
I haven't read any books.
I've got to carve out some time to read.
What is this?
Dave doesn't read.
Thing you talk about time. I don't understand the concept.
Oh. So how have things been back at the ranch? I guess we're going to get this thing started.
Been started.
Since because I know that we talked a little bit and you said you had finally got a bulldozer out there and animals are getting back and.
Yes, we got a bulldozer out here. I think he started, was it yesterday or the day before? Time, like you were saying, just runs all together for me right now. But he started, and first day on the job, he ran into some big oak tree, broke some part, so now he's off buying some big expensive part. But it's $85 an hour.
Ooh.
For him and the operator, him and the operator and the bulldozer.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to need it for a couple weeks.
Wow. And for those of you who don't know who we're talking to today, we have the pleasure of talking with Renee King Sonnen. And you were over Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, right? This is your baby.
I'm the founder.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am the founder. I stumbled upon it one day.
You found it and became the founder. That was bad, Hope.
Oh, my gosh. I had no idea what I was getting into whenever I had my husband stop taking that red trailer to the sale barn. I had no idea this was going to happen. This was never planned. People always say, you got to have a business plan, you got to have these well thought out projections and all this. Like, whatever, there's nothing like that happened here.
That's kind of like us. Let's do a podcast. You have a podcast? No, let's just do it anyway. So, yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
So, let's just so if people are not familiar with Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, you want to give a little bit of background. And I know the red trailer is a big thing. Tell a little bit about why the red trailer is so significant in your life and how it changed you.
The red trailer?
Well, tell them a little bit about the Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, and since you've been talking about the red trailer, because that is something I want to ask you about, why is that so significant?
Well, Rowdy Girl Sanctuary is, here's Domino right here. See her? Rowdy Girl Sanctuary actually was born as a result of me getting extremely tired of watching my husband take the babies to the sale barn, which eventually led them to get fed up into feedlots and sold for slaughter. That's what happens to beef cattle ranch calves that go to the sale barn. And we are one of the 248,000 farms and ranches in Texas. We were one of them. And, when I started seeing who I was eating, I started seeing these animals, I was... I just got depressed. It took me about 6 years of watching this happen twice a year to become so depressed that I was literally unable to cope anymore. I mean, it was really hard. That last few months being married to Tommy was the most excruciating time of our lives. It was painful. At times I thought I was homicidal or suicidal.
A little bit of both.
There's a difference.
It was like tense. It was very tense, and at times I was like, my eyes would cross. I mean, I couldn't cope anymore because when the illusion was finally shattered for me, it was all over me what we were doing when it finally shattered. To keep the idea and the illusion going requires a great amount of loyalty to the system. I mean, and it's a loyalty I didn't even know I was possessing. My daddy was an alcoholic, a really bad alcoholic. I grew up in a very, very violent household with my father. He was very abusive, very mean. And I say this because we were taught as kids to never talk about dad, to never talk about these things. There's things you just don't talk about, Renee. It's the same thing in the cattle industry. You don't talk about the babies. You don't talk about the mamas crying. You don't talk about these things. It's the way it is. This is the way it is in Texas when you have a cattle ranch, cow-calf operation. You are a respectable member of society. This is what you do, and you don't feel it. It's inbred in us to do that. And so when I started bucking the status quo, it was
You're a cattle rancher's wife that decided, hey, wait a minute, who I'm eating, which I love that you said that because that does change your thought pattern about your food or food animals, which I hate that term. But when you realize who you're eating and you're looking at these animals and you see, hey, they've got a soul, they get a connection, they miss their babies, they're just like little dogs. They want to be loved, they want to be played with. It changes you, but that had to be an excruciating process for you to go, wait a minute, I'm a cattle rancher's wife. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. This is Texas. This is just the way it is. But wait a minute. I think this vegan thing has something to do. How did that change?
I went vegan in October of 2014. My husband had retired from Dow Chemical. I think it was in June of that year, I think. But he didn't have any idea, nor did I, that I was about to go vegan. It was hey, if he'd have known that, he probably wouldn't have retired. I promise you, this sanctuary has certainly changed everything for us. Being a nonprofit and, doing everything we can to stay afloat amidst just normal conditions. You piled the flood, what happened to us during the flood on top of all this, and you've got a big, we're just like, I was telling somebody earlier, it's like we're hemorrhaging. It's just like we're bleeding every day, and I'm constantly, asking for help. But, that's what I have to do, and it's just the nature of it is. But to get back to your question, the loyalty factor is unspoken. Since going vegan and becoming a sanctuary, the ranchers' wives, sisters, brothers, and ranchers themselves that reach out to me and talk to me are numbering to the point now where I can't keep up with them. I can't count anymore how many wives and sisters and brothers. And I know there's 2 ranchers I've talked to, 2 that want to consider this way of life.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, there's all kind of, because like I was saying before, you don't talk about things. This is very unspoken, So when somebody's finally doing it, just like in Alcoholics Anonymous, for instance, in Alcoholics Anonymous, one alcoholic can talk to another alcoholic because that alcoholic has been there. They know how to talk to you. What other rancher, that is even a rancher's wife? I mean, there's ranchers' wives out there going crazy like I was.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they stumble up on Vegan Journal of a Rancher's Wife, the blog on Facebook, and they're like, what? Somebody else? And then they talk to me and they're like, oh my God, and they just tell me all their problems. They cry, they, let it all go. And it's like, the next thing you know, I'm helping them place animals that they, are seeing. There's one named Poncho that I helped place. A rancher's wife had no idea that she had any power whatsoever because of the unspoken rule, I'm a loyal rancher's wife.
Well, how does that affect them then? If their husbands are the ranchers, how does that affect their relationships?
Well, that's what, these people are reaching out to me, not telling their husband. Just like I didn't tell my husband when I started Vegan Journal of a Rancher's Wife and started talking to people about having a sanctuary and raising money. I didn't tell him I was doing this. This was something I said, I got to keep it a secret, And I started talking and meeting vegans before I ever told him my plan. And it was too late by then.
So it's like Ranchaholics Anonymous. You get Ranchaholics Anonymous. You build your own little network.
Like. I mean, these ranchers' wives, they call. The last one that called, she was like desperate. They'll private message me on my Rowdy Girl Sanctuary page a lot. And like, I heard about this, that, and the other. You going, being a rancher's wife and that you did what you did. I would need to talk to you. I have a cow. His name is Poncho. He's like a pet. He sleeps on the back porch. The kids play with him. My husband just told me it's time to take him to the cell barn. This is a pet, a friend. I don't know who else to talk to. Somebody tell me about you, and I need to talk about this. It's killing me. And so I pick up the phone and I call. This is what I do. I do it every time somebody reaches out. I don't just, see these messages and go, okay, next. I pick up the phone, I talk to these people, and because they don't have anybody else to talk to. Well, and we placed Poncho in a sanctuary.
Have you had any pushback from other ranchers' wives regarding talking to others about? Like, you say it's kind of things you don't talk about, but do you have any pushback from others talking about it?
Well, anytime you're doing something that this is what I've been told. What I've been told is, Renee, anytime you're doing something good in the world, and you are, this is what I've been told. When you're in the story, you can't see the story. We're in the story. And evidently this story is being seen by lots of people because we're in a vegan movie. Right. Everyday stories, it's being seen all over. And CBS Evening News came out here, from New York. I mean, I didn't call them and say, hey, can you come, do a story on us? They called us.
Right.
Why? Because the Houston paper did a big story on its front page. So, you know, I'm not out there calling people and say, hey, can you come do stories on us? No, for whatever reason, our story has caught fire and the media has latched onto it and they are calling us. So when that happens, I mean, all I could do is just sit back and go, okay, we're in this story. People want to know about it. I've got to be able to respond, even though I don't know what in the world, I really don't know what is happening and what is going on.
Right.
I'm just trying to take care of these animals, and the world is watching.
That's what you and I talked about yesterday. You said you're kind of the first sanctuary of your type, and you're doing this. Like, you have no idea what you're doing, but you jumped in because you have a passion for it. And
well, I know it's these animals.
Yeah, I mean, your story is so interesting. When I was reading more about you, that's why I was asking you about the red trailer. That to me sticks out so much because I imagine every time you had to look at that, you see like Rowdy Girl and her baby Houdini who kept, trying to get out of that yard, and isn't that one thing? If every time she disappear, you threaten, say, if I find that trailer down here. So
yeah, I said, whenever the last time it was going to leave, I told them, I said, if you take it one more time. And there was about 9 bull calves that were getting ready to be loaded up and sold. I said, I drew the line in the sand. I said, if you take it one more time, I'll follow it. I'll follow it to the sale barn. I'll follow it to the slaughterhouse. I'll follow it. They can pick me up. You can pick me up in jail. Oh. And I meant it. And I finally knew that I meant it. I knew I meant it. He knew I meant it. But, there's always going to be people that don't like what you do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And getting back to your question, there's always going to be people when you're doing good in the world that don't like it. And it isn't my, what people think about me is none of my business. Whether you like me or whether you don't, it's none of my business. I've got a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I have an employer, I have an agent, a principal, I have a creator, and none of these people, anybody that has problems with me, are none of those things.
Yep.
None of them. And so I just do what I got to do. There's literally probably just that CBS Evening News clip alone has been seen over 400,000 times.
Wow.
Seen, I know, shared almost 90,000.
Nice.
So you look at the magnitude of what is really going on. It doesn't surprise me that today I get some message from somebody that blocks me instantly that says, "You're a scammer, you're a this, and we're da-da-da-da-da-da." And I just look at that and I go, wow. And then they block me. And then it's like, so am I getting pushback from the cattle industry? Am I getting pushback from people out there? I'm sure I'm getting a little bit of pushback, but it's like,
Yep.
you don't need it. The best stuff it's like water off a duck's back. You just kind of let it kind of flow off.
it's like,
What you're doing is so much bigger than what a few people have to say.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be people, I think, it's one of those things like what you said, it takes a lot of work to be that unhappy. And it takes a lot of work to reach out and start cutting you down. But when you look at what you're doing and what you've had to go against, you're a rancher's wife, you just had a major flood, and making sure those animals are safe and getting the people that work with you, because you're not out there yourself. This is not just one woman out there, which I think a lot of people think that, and you left the animals out there with floaties or something. No, you had a staff of people.
I'm sorry. I can see a cow with like a paddle and a.
That's okay,
and a
because
boat.
you don't milk your cows, so their bladders, their udders just blow up, so they can just float with that. But you had people working with you. But I imagine that the stress of handling all this. How do you handle that? And because you're just to me, you're so happy all the time. But I know you probably have to be, but B, you have a drive to do it. But how do you handle that and keep working and get people to come in and continue to do this work, especially after facing a flood of this magnitude?
well, a lot of people have asked me that. And the way I handle it is I know that I don't handle it. I know that if I tried to handle it, I'd fail miserably. If I thought I was doing anything myself, I wouldn't be able to cope. But what I know is that there's always a power. And I speak of this because it's true for me. There's a power greater than me that works through me. It's not me. It's because, when for me, it's a very spiritual thing. For me, it's spiritual. I allow whatever power is working through me to flow. And on any of my best days, I'm nothing but just a real clear sewer pipe, if you will.
Okay.
I mean,
Go on.
if shit is plugged up and it doesn't go flowing,
And explicit. All right.
it just kind of overflows and gets everywhere, right? But if you keep it clean, keep it clear, transparent, running, then that water flows. It doesn't need me to be in the way. If I get in the way, I plug it up. If I stay out of the way, these things happen. When I look back, I go, how do we do that? How do we just rescue 80 animals, move them out, in a week? How do we do this with a cowboy, a rancher, a hunter letting us borrow, and a rancher letting us borrow a trailer and a truck? We never even knew the guy. The people out at the FFA, Brazoria County Fairgrounds, where they do all that FFA and 4-H, letting us use that area to put our pigs, our dogs, our ducks, our chickens. When I look back on this, just like when I look back on how this whole thing has happened, I know I didn't do it. I know I didn't handle it. All I know is I'm willing to be clear and let power flow through. And whenever we do that, that's when God shows up in my mind. That's when stuff happens when I'm not looking. If I'm trying to make it happen, force it to happen, manipulate it to happen, it ain't ever going to happen.
Well, you talked a lot about like saving the animals from the flood, but I think a lot of our listeners may not know like what happened with the flood and where it came from and everything you went through with that. How did the flood start?
Give us a quick synopsis of the great flood of the sanctuary.
It was a 100-year flood. Brazos River flooded. Hadn't happened in 100 years like this. Last 2 years, we've had more rain than normal. Typical rainfall's been higher than normal, but never nothing like we saw. It was unbelievable. And June 6th is when my husband was actually rescued by Texas Task Force 1 and the National Guard, because our 96 acres, some of it saw around 10 feet of water.
Wow.
And our house is on the highest elevation, and it got, almost 6 inches of water in it. And we never thought it would come inside our house. Whenever I left, we finally got, I had this, intuition, and I thought, this is going to be bad. I was sensing it was going to be bad when we, because we had the luxury of hearing about the water rising from, I'm direction deficit, so I forget where it was coming from, but I remember them talking about the water rising because of all this water flooding we had, east, north, south, east. I don't know where it was, but it was definitely a record rainfall that had occurred. And so because of that,
Someone's upset.
Yeah, my 9 dogs. And because of that, the rain caused all these rivers to rise, and so it was coming our way. So we knew it was coming our way. But it took time to finally get this way. And so Tommy kept saying, oh, it ain't going to get that high. It's never happened before. It might get up like it was. Hey! No, hush! It might get up, so-and-so high, whatnot. And but I just kept having this feeling. And I pay attention to my psychic inability. And I do. I pay attention to it. And so when it started making me nervous, I told Tommy, I said, we need to evacuate these large animals. I don't want to keep them here. I'm afraid that something might happen. I don't want to end up in some event where the animals are standing in water, even knee deep. I don't want any problems. We need to get them out of here. So I called the Agricultural Extension Service, and at the time they were, they too were starting to see that there could be a problem, and they are the ones that hooked us up with the fairgrounds. They told us that they would find somebody's at my door. Can you hang on a minute?
Oh, yeah.
Tommy, I'm being interviewed, honey. Quit calling. I gotta go. God.
This is live, folks. This happens to be recorded live.
Understand, I'm only one here right now. The employee won't be back till 4. So our bulldozer guy was wanting to invoice me, and I'm like, can you wait a few minutes?
Can you wait? I'm doing my celebrity thing. I love it. So getting back.
So anyway, what I was saying about the flood is I called Agricultural Extension Service, and they're the ones that hooked me up with the hunter, the rancher, the Brazoria County Fairgrounds, and they're the ones that I worked with. We got they told us we had to take the cows to this other ranch. It's a higher ground. And so we loaded up right at 50 cows, 4 horses, all of them in 2 days.
Man.
We did this, and my husband was like, Renee, we can't do this. I said, we're going to do this.
You got to. You don't have a choice.
We can't. This is my husband to me. Renee, I just don't think we can do that. No, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to call this person. We're going to do this. But this is the way I operate. I operate on, we got a problem, solve the problem. If we need to get a hunter and a rancher here and a cowboy too, okay, that's what we do. It's, in vegan. So we had hunters, ranchers, cowboys, and vegans.
Man, were you surprised that you had hunters and other ranchers step up and say yes, and then work with vegans? It's almost like you created like this rainbow of harmony amongst these people that should be at odds. So not only did you get that many animals out in 2 days, you got this many people together working together. How did that surprise you? You're like, what did I do here?
When I was watching this happen, I was like, yay.
Did they change their mind a little bit after doing this?
Well, I changed my mind about what?
About their hunting and ranching. Did anybody have a conversation? Did it come up later?
Did they change?
Conversations were going on. You should have been a fly on the wall.
I would have loved to have been in that, man.
Oh, man, was there ever? We were having all kind of conversations. It's awesome, to hear what was going on. And then when we were at the fairgrounds, here's Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. We had volunteers there from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week.
Wow.
Around the clock. We had shifts. We had schedules. We had it working like a clock, like just a well-oiled machine. Everybody was there. And so you contrast that with the 4-H, FFA, and other people there, ranchers or whatever, that had their animals there. Some of them, the conditions weren't near as comfy cozy, let's put it that way, as they were for our Rowdy Girl bunch. And the rowdy animals were all being loved on. Here's these great big 400-pound pigs, with volunteers in there, hugging them, rubbing their bellies, giving them bananas and apples, and and you juxtapose that.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
This kid gets every time I hug me, rub my belly, get apples, bananas. I want to be a 400-pound pig now.
I'm
not rubbing your belly, Dave.
You need rescuing. Fill out the form.
Okay.
No, but that's what it was like there. It was very, and then Texas A&M rolled in, the big, tent and their big mobile van, because there was all kind of needs, for vet care. Mm-hmm. And so here they were, getting to know us. So it was a great opportunity for Rowdy Girl to be seen by the community. We were seen. We were noticed. People knew.
Good out of the bad. Making something good out of the bad.
And the rancher, when we took the cows over there, we were talking to him. His name is Lou. And he calls himself the mayor of County Road 48. He ain't a mayor, but that's what he calls it. Anyway, it's the kind of people we are, So we're talking to him about borrowing his 50 acres. He's going to let us borrow his truck and his trailer, and we don't even know this guy. And I'm like, and Tommy's like, Renee, there's something not right with this. I said, no, he wants to help us. And we're going to accept his help. We need this, That's how we're going to get these cows and these horses out of here. People are going to help us. Mm-hmm. And then I said to Lou, do you know who we are? Because he was talking to us about, as long you can have them over there as long as you have them cows out by the end of August, because we got some hunters going in, and this and that and the other, and this other rancher, and I just got real quiet. And I'm like, you know us? You know who we are? He said, yeah, I know you. You're famous. I said, famous? saw you on YouTube. You're vegan. You're one of those vegans.
Vegan. That's a new pronunciation. I haven't heard that one yet.
I have.
Vegan.
Vegan.
Vegans.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Matt Page say that way.
Yeah. We're like from a different planet. We're vegans. We're from the Vega system.
He didn't care. Live and let live. That's the way it is. You know, really in Texas, we haven't had any pushback from ranchers or hunters. It's really not been that way at all. The biggest pushback I've had is from so-called vegans that think they're somebody.
Oh yeah, we had a conversation about bad vegans that time. Yeah, it's been.
I mean, that's been my biggest pushback is these so-called vegans that, you know, and I don't give them too much energy because they don't really, for me, deserve much of my brain power at all, let alone my breath. But, you know, some of these folks are, you know, I don't know, maybe they're Hollywood vegans thinking they deserve their day in the sun. And, you know, rowdy girls come in here and.
You took their YouTube time.
You took their YouTube
You took their
time.
YouTube time.
I didn't mean to.
And now you're on Curiously Veg. So I'm going to be like, damn it, she beat us to that show too. We're going to have to write a Facebook on it and just be mad.
You know, it's so funny. It really is. I just, you know, I was watching, you know, I can't help but watch these conventions. I watch as an outsider looking in going, what is going on in our world? Flip Roberts
That
for
voice.
president, but I watch and I'm like going, look how many people hate
Yep.
these presidential candidates.
I just don't do it. We watched Wayward Pines last night and had unchickened Parmigiana. That's about it.
I watch Bob's Burgers.
Yeah,
I don't
Dave
know if
watched. So speaking of volunteers, I know you and I talked, and I wanted to give you some time to talk about what you need and how people can be involved. And I know that you're not taking tours on the sanctuary right now, but when do you expect? 'Cause I know all this craziness, you probably don't have exact dates. So let's start with, say people are interested in coming down and see the farm, or they're interested in donating some money. What do you guys need, and how can they do that?
Well, right now we need. I'm going to start, you know, probably actively putting a fundraiser out there in just a little bit. Some of the folks I met at the Vegan Fest in Nashville were helping me. You know, Paul McGee Berry and them have been just awesome. And so Michael Stiles, Denise Bitts, all those gals, the guys out there are just, you know, I'm so glad I went, met y'all. You know, just Asheville, it was a really good experience for me. It was an experience I really needed at that time. And, you know, we are needing just through the end of August, right at $15,000. And that's modest.
Yeah, I imagine so, because I read how much it costs daily for you with the cows.
That's modest. And because we're hemorrhaging so bad because of the flood, I mean, it just, you know, if you can imagine losing all of your equipment.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have flood insurance out on the whole, you know, every piece of land out here wasn't covered with flood insurance. Our home was, our garage was covered, but none of the outbuildings, none of this. I mean, this has never happened here. You don't just, you know, have flood insurance over 96 acres out here, you know, but, you know, we're going to be looking into something, for the future, but it's something that we've never had. Nobody out here has. No landowners out here had flood insurance like that. But, you know, we got $53,000, and I'm being transparent. This is really nobody's business, but I'm going to tell you anyway. But just as our own personal home insurance, we got $53,000. Guess what we're going to do with that money?
Probably put it all towards animals.
You know what? I really need my sheetrock cut out of this house. It's got mold in it. We're living in an RV. I can't even sleep in my bedroom because I can't stand the smell in there. I mean, my husband was talking this morning. We need a front end loader so bad in a tractor. It's $40,000. So I have a feeling what we're getting ready to do is personally buy a tractor because our personal equipment was underwater. Our tractors, our hay baler, which was insured, but we don't know yet if they're going to total it, what we're going to get back. We haven't heard back from them yet. But we're crippled around here. All of our hand tools, everything that was in Tommy's shed underwater, all the supplies. I mean, so if you can imagine having to buy things, all our food, our hay, everything was just underwater. all the water lines. When we came back, we had no water well. I mean, so money just had to start going out like that. And so, yeah, it's if you go on our website, rowdygirlsanctuary.org, under fundraisers, right there is there's a link to the flood. There's a link to the flood, and there's a PDF that you can download. It has it. I think it's listed under Animal Rights National Conference, and that's the actual PDF that I handed out when I was at the conference. And it tells you on the back of that what we lost, what we need, and it's a lot more than $15,000. But that's just the way it is, because we've been, contrary to what a few people think, Tommy and I are the biggest donors.
Oh, I know. I know.
I believe it.
Yeah.
So I don't go around, but it's getting to the point now where some of the stuff is so freaking ridiculous that I'm like going, hang around here for a while. None of these, anybody that's ever talked ill of us has never been here.
Yep.
It's just, it's like if you hang out by one of those supermarket stands and you see those tabloids out there, on the side, Star or whatever, it's like you pick it up and go, oh my God, did you know Michael Jackson had two heads? Right here, look, I mean, that's what they've done, so I was like, oh, really? Okay, so.
So they can get, we'll definitely link to that. I know we have your banner on our bed page. So guys, if you haven't visited our webpage, please do click on it. But I know that you have, people can come and visit. When do you expect maybe that might open back up so people can visit these beautiful little animals and get to meet? Which I'm going to ask you about in a few minutes so we can lighten it up and be happy. But I think this is really important to get people involved with this. So.
Well, what's fun is the volunteers are just really showing up around here. I mean, like today, there was Angie and Richard here from Galveston. They drive an hour one way, twice a week. These kids are 18, 19 years old. On the back of their car, they're about meat is murder, animal liberation. And, they've been vegan a few months.
Wow.
Their dad just went vegan 2 months ago
in
Texas. What's happening here is because of the flood and because of the sanctuary, vegans are coming out of the closet. I've been saying this since we started.
I say they're coming out of the pantry. That seems to work better.
Vegans are coming out of the pantry. Yeah.
They're coming out of the pantry, left and right. Throwing tofu.
They're coming out.
No.
They were scared to come out before. They're like peeking out and going, there's a vegan farm, a rancher that went vegan down the road. It's like, really? And so they're coming here. They want to be a part of. So even though our tours have been suspended, volunteers are welcome. If you go to our website under Get Involved, and then there's a section there called How to Volunteer. And you read that little bit of information, you fill out that simple online form, you submit it to us, and then I give you a call right away. There's somebody calling me today from California on a road trip.
Wow.
She's going to be volunteering next week. Huffington Post was on her trip there. We're supposed to be out here Monday. They've gotten sidetracked, but they're on their way here. Folks from Australia are coming up down here to do some filming for some 1-minute videos with our animals and all these original music compositions. That's happening. There's in the vegan movie, watch Vegan Everyday Stories. It's free.
Yep.
It's a free movie that that we got to be in. It's the sanctuary's animals, and there's a lot of great vegans all over the country that's in it too.
Yep. And we talked a little bit about that when we interviewed you. There's a short interview at Vegan Fest, but I want to get that in a minute. I know that also they can adopt an animal on Rowdy Girl Farm, the sanctuary.
You can adopt an animal. We have an adopt an animal program.
And they can see all of them. I've been looking through them today, and they're all adorable. So.
And then what we have right now that we really are pushing, push. If I'm pushing for anything right now, I'd love to get 300 members by September 21st. We just started our first membership program.
Yep.
And so for like $15 a month is the minimum. You can become a charter member. Our first 300 members are going to be our charter members. And so, we'd really encourage you to become a member. We need you. That if we had 300 members, contributing $15 a month, that'd be a little over $4,000, I think. And that would be that'd go a long way to pay for just the food.
What do you get when you're a member? How does that work? Do you get like a picture of a cow every month, or what? How does that work out?
Well, it's on my website, and if you go to membership, because I honestly, it's different levels. There's so many different levels. It's once you are a member for, I think, 3 months, 6 months. There's a lady named Barbara Kraus that's coordinating all this for me. I know I look like I have 12 arms, but I really.
I noticed. I thought I noticed he's the third one. Every now and then popping up.
You're juggling in the background.
This membership program is so amazing, and it was not my idea. Somebody contacted me, another volunteer that I haven't even met yet, and wanting to do this. And she's got experience in it, and she's doing this for us. And she put it all together. Her name is Barbara Kraus, Kraus. And she's awesome. She's doing this, and she's coordinating it. She's organizing it. And we've got a team of folks that are helping us put it all out there. So you can become a rowdy gal or a rowdy guy.
So I'm looking at right here. It says you get a special Facebook members only page. You have a get together once a year there, which guys you really should, because you need to meet this lady. She's a hoot. You get updates on your favorite Rowdy Girl farm animal. Special tour privileges, which I guess we get to see inside the sanctum of your mind. Maybe your sanctum. And you get special invitations when New Animals Live. So there's a lot of things that just, I guess you're giving privilege to these people that are coming in, loving these animals. And
yeah, we're going to do a Facebook page. I know that's coming, and we just started it. We just broke ground on it. I think we've only got we've got about 20 members now. So we need 300 by September 21st. That's my goal. So I would really love to get this out there in the world, because you need to be a member. All these big sanctuaries, have membership programs and stuff. So it's time for us to step up and have one too.
Now, I know what the questions that people ask me about you is, where did Rowdy Girl get their name from? So we're going to do a little bit of lighthearted, and I want to talk about the movie a little bit that you're involved in. Because everybody thought you were Rowdy Girl. I know this guy right here was like, yes, Rowdy Girl. You're like, no, Rowdy Girl is my cow. So,
Rowdy, let me see if I have a picture somewhere. Rowdy Girl, she was my baby. She's the one. Well, see, Tommy wanted me to have a buy-in, right? Because when I first moved here, our second time married, I had no desire to open gates. I had no desire to go in where the cows were. I had no desire to get my high-heeled shoes stuck in the mud. At the time when I moved here, at the second time, I was selling real estate, actually making, good money. I don't make any money anymore, but I used to make money. But when I moved in here, I didn't want any part of that.
So it's like Green Acres, right? You were like the
Zsa
Zsa.
Like Green Acres.
And now we just found the music for the episode. Thank you, Hope.
Exactly.
You're Zsa Zsa Gabor. You're just as fabulous.
But now I can't get enough of this shit.
It's explicit, getting checked every time. I don't know what to do.
I can't say that?
Yeah, you can say it.
No, you're fine.
Go
Being
ahead.
funny. You're good.
Oh, okay. But anyway, I can't say that. Oh, my God.
Let the F-bombs roll, darling. Let it be.
What happened was, so he wanted me to get more down to earth and, into the cows.
He had no idea.
He heard about this little baby that needed a mama. She was orphaned, and I don't know how she was orphaned. I have no idea. He took me to meet her. I fell in love with her instantly. She was 2 months old. She was rowdy as hell. She would jump up and down and kick her legs, and I'd try to go pet her, and she'd jump around, and I said, she's a rowdy little girl, and that's what her name was.
Huh.
So I called her Rowdy Girl.
And that started everything for you. That started like the
I
vegan
fed her
nugget.
twice a day, and I started feeding her. This is what happened. When I started feeding her, she would come up to me and just love that bottle. And I never had kids. So all my mothering instincts started coming out on this little baby. And all the while, I'm still eating animals at the time. But all of a sudden, something's starting to go beyond the curtain.
Right. You see the wizard behind the curtain.
And all of a sudden, I'm feeling something. And then, and then I started watching the other cows. What I never would do before is I wouldn't even look at the cows, because you're not supposed to look at those cows. They're out there to, provide for our food chain. You don't look at the cows or get to know the cows or go pet the cows. They're wild animals out there waiting to be killed, That's what they do. That's why they're here. And, God. Can you believe?
It feels weird saying, right?
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And so, but I started noticing these mothers, and I started noticing their babies, and I started watching how the babies hung out together. And all of a sudden, I was going to never be the same. And I knew it. I started going out with them then. I started wanting to go meet the cows. I wanted to meet the babies. And I started figuring out how to do it. I started figuring out how I could get quiet, get real, real quiet. Tommy calls me the cow whisperer. And it's not that I am a cow whisperer. I'm really very quiet. I don't whisper at all. I just say nothing. And he didn't think I'd get Murray from over here in the woods all the way around to the barn this morning. But I just stayed with him. I didn't try to drag him or pull him. I just held the lead and wait on him. And, we did it. And his foot's all right. His foot's all wrapped up now, and he's feeling good. But, the only way to be with these cows, these large animals that we used to eat and call food, is to be real quiet so that they can get into our headspace.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people when they come up, and there's animals all around, like,
Well, that's what people don't realize is that like cows are basically have the mentality of like a 3-year-old. Essentially,
Pigs do. I
well,
know
no,
cows are.
pigs are 4,
yeah.
cows are roughly 3. But I think it's the same thing with a small child. If you come running and yelling and acting all crazy, they're going to cry and freak out and run away and hide. It's kind of the same.
Well,
thing.
they just don't relate to that. They don't relate. Animals, I don't know if it's a 3-year-old. I mean, we may think it's like a 3-year-old, but honestly, I think cows are a lot more mature than we are.
I would agree. I think animals are much smarter than us. They just sit there and go, okay. Yeah.
I know there's nothing wrong with silence. In fact, silence is where real information can be understood between interspecies.
Exactly.
It's only through silence that you can really hear, really know them.
You've met Gene Bauer, hadn't you?
Oh, yeah.
That's what he was talking about. He's like, people don't. It's very easy to go to the supermarket and pick up that meat because you don't see the life behind it. But once you meet these animals and you kind of sit and you hold a space with them and you let them talk in their language, which is not a vocal language, something starts to change. I think with everybody, something starts to change. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we're facing that you're going to help overcome is we're breaking that barrier and putting a face and a soul and a voice with these animals because they're essentially voiceless because we don't know how to listen to them anymore. We're disconnected from what our food is and what we should be, and we're not connected to the land, the nature, and the animals anymore.
Well, like Murray, Murray is a Holstein. We Murray was a surrender from the SPCA in Florida. They surrendered 8 of their animals to us because they really wanted their cows to have more pasture land. And in fact, Farm Sanctuary was very instrumental in them coming here because they had contacted Farm Sanctuary first initially, and then Farm Sanctuary recommended they come to Rowdy Girl. And so we have some special animals from Florida. We call them our Florida cows. And and Murray, the one that had a little bum foot today, is the one from Florida. He's 1,400 pounds of pure gentle giant. He's gentle. He's got horns. If you look on my Facebook pages right there, I've got a lead, a lime green lead on him. And, I went and got that yesterday because she said, you're going to need a lead. And I said, a lead? I've never put a lead on Murray. But I went and I talked to this guy at Tractor Supply. If you can imagine at Tractor Supply, if you know what that is, that's where all these ranchers go in and buy their food and stuff for all their food animals. And I went in there and I said, I need some help on this aisle. There was like 1,500 different leads you could buy and halters and everything else. I said, Murray, this is his picture. I said, he is not a food animal. He is Murray, and he's a rescue. And I need a halter for his head, something that'll fit him. And that guy was going, oh my God, I don't think we got anything that big. And he was looking around here and there, and all of a sudden he stumbled upon this horse halter that he thought would fit. And so I bought that little halter, or big halter for him. And we got it on him like he just walked into it like, nothing, no big deal. And, and I got to thinking when I was holding that green lead and walking with him, that I'm just like out walking my pet dog. Yeah. That here I am with my 1,400 pound Murray, with a hurt foot. And how many, I started getting this revelation, just like I did when I was helping Dixie Chick the chicken when I was in that movie, talking about, the legs and the wings of chickens I used to eat while I was working on Dixie Chick. I started thinking the same thing with Murray when I was walking him. He is a male Holstein. You know what happens to male dairy calves in today's industry?
Oh, yeah.
They
Yeah.
they barely live 2 or 3 days, or from there they get taken from their mother in 2 or 3 days. They get thrown in bill crates, or they get killed. Murray is 10 years old. He's a phenomenon. He's a miracle. And I put on my Facebook page, this is not meat, this is not milk, this is not cream cheese or leather coats. This is Murray.
Yeah.
We've been brainwashed by the establishment.
Yep.
Brainwashed.
It's more normal.
It's a status. Yeah.
It's normalized that because it's anything that is a moneymaker to somebody, especially in the meat industry and dairy industry, they normalize it. And anybody that, like us, that have we've kind of woken up and looking and we've been with these animals, we're not normal. And they prey upon that. And, the way the world is today, nobody wants to be an outlier and made fun of. I know a lot of teenagers that are thinking about veganism. The biggest obstacle is the back. I guess that they got a lot of backlash from their peers about it, and I'm seeing more and more young people waking up to it and standing up to it. But it's very hard when you're outside the quote unquote normal. This podcast is outside the normal.
I'm used to
your ranch is outside the normal. I mean, and Matt's a vegan artist. He's answering questions every day about, well, how are you a vegan artist? And you can't be 100%, but he does a lot better. And he's actually telling people, here's what to use, here's not what to use, here's where to buy this stuff, here's how to be better. But it's difficult. But I guess it takes people like us that are stubborn to kind of stand up for the Murrays, right?
Well, Murray is my husband and the vet and all of them were like, gosh, he's so gentle. I mean, we were able to pick up his front foot and hold it in our hand and clean it out, and he stood there and let us do it.
Well, it's trust. He trusts you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the vet couldn't believe it. No restraint. No shit.
And the vet's like, you sure he's just going to stand here? He's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you have another actually I don't know, I guess she's still a calf. Stormy. I was reading Stormy's story. I love Stormy's story.
Well, Stormy died.
Oh well. Oh, okay. I just put the whole thing down. My bad.
Stormy. It's okay. Stormy. Poor baby.
Yeah.
That poor. During the flood, we lost Stormy. During the aftermath of the flood, she was at the other pasture, and we lost her. Yeah, she got pneumonia, and we took her to Texas A&M. Talk about food animal stuff. Everywhere you see food animal. And because she was blind and had some sort of inherent problem from birth. That's the reason she went blind. There was some toxicity problem or something. She went blind from birth. And when she got the pneumonia, she was up one day, down the next. And, we spent $3,600 trying to save her, and I still haven't paid that bill. I got to pay that bill. But, and I got Stormy's, I got her cremated, and I got her remains in a little box. And it was the hardest thing in the world for me to lose Stormy.
Well, at least I think the thing to take away from this too is you gave her love and compassion throughout her, even though her life was short. What she had was, because most cats would be cold at her age, and they've never known love and compassion and care, and somebody that sat with them and cried and said, you're worth. I don't care about the bill. I'll figure it out. So you gave her so much more than.
She wouldn't have kept it all because she's blind. She'd have been slaughtered long ago.
Yeah. And that's what people don't. That's what they don't get is they'll see these animals on your site and go, oh, she's cute and everything else, but realizing that there are animals out there for food, and most of her age they're taken away from the mother after they're born, And then they're put down. They're killed. They're not put down. They're killed. They're murdered. And
I had the hardest time losing them. That girl, I was so close to her.
I'm so
sorry. I was just like with Murray. I was out there 2.5 hours just getting from the woods to the barn because I don't pull my animals. I let them walk, and they lead me. I don't lead them; they lead me. As long as I got the lead, I can just wait on them, and I spend that moment to meditate. So when Stormy first came here, she couldn't even hardly walk. She couldn't stand. She'd been confined so long as a baby because the owners, they didn't feel comfortable letting her run around with the rest of the animals, and I didn't blame them, but they didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do, except I knew she needed to get up. I knew she couldn't stay down. And her little knee, she was arthritic from birth. From not being able to really move around much, her knees were real swollen. And so when we finally got her up, the way I got her walking was I just stood there with her. I said, we're going to walk. We're going to walk. We're going to go. And that's what we did. I spent hours, 3 times a day, I spent hours with Stormy, letting her learn the parameters of this area so she would know where to step. She would know where the fence lines were. She would know where the water was. She would know everything. And I did that with her for 2 or 3 months. I don't know. Until one day I knew that it was time to take off the lead and let her be a big girl. And when I did, I turned around and I looked at her and I said, okay, it's time for you to be a big girl. I'm going to come check on you in a few minutes. And I walked in the house and I thought, oh my God, she's out there by herself. Stormy's by herself. And then when I came back out about 20 minutes later, I waited 20 minutes. She was over there at the hay with the big girls eating.
Aww.
And from that point on, I was able to let her be a big girl. But it took working with her. We couldn't have just turned her out like that. She'd gotten hurt. So when the flood happened, we had to move everybody to that other pasture. And we couldn't just let her go in a pasture she didn't know.
Yeah.
She would have, there was a big ditch, ravine down there. She could have fallen in. She would have got bullied by the other cows. She wouldn't have been able to manage on her own blind in an unknown area. So we had to create a little manger area for her. We went out there every day to take care of all of them. But she when she got pneumonia, I don't know what happened. Other than she got pneumonia. I wish I knew, other than the conditions were bad. Mm-hmm. It was flooded. It had rained several times. And when she got sick, she just went down. And they wouldn't get her back up. They couldn't get her back up. I was really pretty pissed off at the vets at Texas A&M, but they're the best in Texas.
Yeah.
If that's the best in Texas, and we're doing all we can, what I say to that is we got to do better.
Yeah.
And so what I want to do, and this is a pipe dream of mine, this is one of my psychic inabilities. But I do see a day when there's going to be a vegan vet hospital right here at Rowdy Girl Sanctuary.
That would be awesome.
I really do. I see it.
And here's the thing: is I don't understand how you can be a veterinarian and not be vegan. How do you choose what you consider food and what you consider
worth saving?
Worth saving. It doesn't. I don't get that thought process. Have you had conversations with vets about this?
Oh, I do all the time. Yeah, that was here today. I was talking to her about it, and exactly. How do you work on a cow and go eat a hamburger?
I don't know.
But the reason why I say that though about this is when I was driving out to see Stormy the last day, when they told me that I couldn't keep hanging on to her. I was hanging on and it was beyond time, and I was just hanging on, and we'd given her a blood transfusion, and it was obvious that I had to let her go. And I said to Stormy, when I was talking to her on the way to Texas A&M, it's 3.5 hours from here. We got to have a better vet facility here, hospital. We have to. So this is needed here in Texas.
And you can do it, sweetie.
We're going to do it because Stormy told me we were going to do it. Now, I know it may sound weird.
No.
I know it's weird, but I'm a Pisces with a midnight Taurus rising, and I have some kind of weird abs anyway. So, but the thing is, I heard Stormy. I was talking to her, and I said, "What is your life purpose? Why are you here?" why in the 1 year you've been here, what is your purpose? What are you here to teach us? And what I heard was this. And it was like a message. It's not like I heard her talk. It was a message. I was born in a storm. That's how she got her name. I died because of a storm. And you need to build a facility that will withstand all storms. A vet medicine hospital for vegans.
That's so awesome.
So that's Stormy's final message to me. I didn't make that up. I couldn't make anything like that up. Stormy was born in a storm. She died because of a storm. And she said, in my mind, I heard her say, like it was just right there, and you need to build a facility that will withstand any storm.
Damn it, Renee, you're going to make me cry.
Well, good. It made me cry. And see, if we had a facility like that here, she would not be dead. I believe, and we would have had to evacuate all these animals. If we'd have had a medical hospital right here, we could have taken care of all this right then and there. To drive 3.5 hours to Texas A&M, where I sat with the doctor, that she had all these notes down. You know, I was sitting in there with her, and she was telling me how she wasn't going to make it, this and that, and I couldn't even get past the first sentence, because guess what was at the top of that page? Food animals department. Food animals. And I said, excuse me, do you have a Sharpie, a black one? Yeah. I said, well, can I have it? And I took it, and I said, before you can talk to me at all, we're scratching this out. She is not food. Stormy is not food. And I was mad. I said, you don't have any sensitivity to this, do you? I said, no sensitivity at all whatsoever that you're talking to a vegan that has an animal in here that we love. And you're showing me a piece of paper that's calling her food.
I guess with some people it wouldn't matter, because I get told that all the time, but they're food animals. I was like, no, they're animals. They're living beings.
But what's behind this, Hope, is hope.
You made a connection.
I say that. What's behind this? Because we are the only vegan conversion cattle ranch in probably the world. I know the country, most likely the world if you Google it. Mm-hmm. And so here we are talking to Texas A&M, one of the best hospitals for veterinarians, you know, in the country. And she's having a dialogue like that with me. Nobody else is going to have that dialogue like that with her. I mean, the last exchange I had with her on email, I mean, she was a nice doctor. Mm-hmm. But I had to make sure that the last email she got from me, that she was going to get that she could have done better. I wasn't going to take that they did all they could do. Because when I wanted to elevate Stormy and put her in water to help her with her legs, to get her to be able to move, you know, like a water therapy so she could move, they couldn't do that because they was afraid she was going to drown. I said, well, don't you have a way to hoist her so she doesn't? No, we don't have anything like that. Well, you know, and then I called Michael Stiles. Mm-hmm. You know, he used to be with Gentlebond, mm-hmm. right? And he was telling me of some things they did, some therapeutic modalities, and I was telling them about these modalities. They don't have them. Well, they can do better, but they ain't going to do better. Because why? They're food animals there.
But I love what you've done with her is Stormy. You've given her a life purpose and a legacy. Stormy's legacy, I think, is going to be amazing, because what you're going to do to help the veterinarians out there understand and to try to do better and say, you know, having food animal at the top, maybe you should take that off. And not even a maybe, take it off. Look at this. It doesn't even matter what the person thinks about this animal. Your job is kind of like a doctor. We don't put derogatory things on medical diagnosis when you go in the hospital. An animal life is an animal life, and I think that's your legacy that you're going to have, and you know that's pretty damn beautiful for her. I don't think you could do her any more justice, Renee.
Well, that's why when, you know, he accidentally, or he said that, he thought it was, oh my God, I didn't miss a beat, because I'm not afraid to talk about Stormy. Stormy was an amazing being, and her legacy is going to be felt. I really do believe it's going to be felt. I would love to call it Stormy's, you know.
Stormy's shelter.
Stormy shelter. Shelter from the storm.
There you go.
Stormy shelter from the storm. And here, and so Stormy's right here. Stormy's, no, she's right here. I got a special place for her.
Okay.
Aww.
There you go. For those who are just listening,
She's got a box of this beautiful little girl.
See what it says?
Nope, too low.
Hold up a little bit.
Too low. There you go.
Stormy, our little rowdy girl.
There you go.
No.
She's in here. And you know what? When they asked me, when the doctor said, do you want just her head and her hooves and her heart cremated or her whole body? I looked at her, and Cherie Holman was with me. And I looked at Cherie, and Cherie said, all of her. All of her. What the hell were they going to do with the rest of her?
Food animal. It's horrible. Nobody's ever asked me about that about my cats. I've had all of my cats that have passed. Yeah. I've never had one vet say, well, this cat's kind of big. Do you just want his head and his paws? No. Because they know that the animal, that cat was my love. That would never be asked of a cat or a dog. So why would they ask you about that with her?
Money, because it costs more to raise.
Matt's over here nodding. Yeah. But But like I said, Renee, honestly, it's a beautiful story. She's a beautiful animal. Her purpose was seen. She wasn't just shoved off to die. She had a mom. She had a purpose, and she seems to have lit a fire under your butt to change everything. So she's put the rowdy in you.
If you go to the rowdy in me, that's right. If you go to the newsletter section on the website, her newsletter, the newsletter I did with all the pictures and the videos and all that is right there. I mean, it's really, really beautiful.
We'll put her video, because I see you've got the video of her. We'll put that in the show notes. So if they can actually, when they're looking at the show and listen to it, that will be the video. So we can understand the little thunder god that's called Stormy that's going to come and change it. So,
people may think I've lost it saying out loud this message, but if I didn't say it out loud, Stormy's life would have no meaning.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. This is what I really heard on my way up there, and I promised her when I hugged her neck for the last time. I promised her that I would do everything I could to make sure that her legacy lived on and that her wishes were fulfilled. So I'm telling y'all, I've not told anybody else this, on an interview. I've not told anybody this.
Wow.
I'm glad you did, because I think that not only you changing veterinary care, I think that her story may touch people in ways that, because I'm in tears. I mean, I think it's because when you are a vegan, you love animals and you see them in a completely different light, and they touch you in ways that I've always been an animal lover, but it wasn't until I changed what I put in my body, I stopped putting death in my body, and I look differently at animals, that I really have a connection on a emotional level to where it hurts me just as badly to see an animal suffer as it does a human being. And some people say, well, that's selfish and cold. I'm like, no, it doesn't. It just makes me feel that their lives are important as well and should be protected and should have a story and a voice. And we don't need it. We don't need it. I don't push it, but we don't need it. So I try to get people to listen. But I think Stormy is, her little voice, she's got a loud little voice through Mama, I think. So
she needs to have a voice through Mommy. And Matt, I want to thank you for bringing her up. Thank you.
David, but yes. Matt's over there.
Matt! Where's Matt? Oh, he's back there in the window. You didn't see me talking to Matt?
No, he's
turned around. Oh.
David, sorry.
You're fine. No, it's no problem.
Sometimes, you have these names all mixed up in your head, and
well, I do that when I call my cats. I'll go Google. It's Queenie, come here. So yeah.
So I do want, because I know we're keeping you a long time here, but I do want you to talk about the movie, because speaking of something that speaks loudly and that people need to see about the vegan movie, let's tell everybody. I'll let you talk a little bit about where they can watch it and what's going on, how you're involved in it.
Vegan Everyday Stories, contrary to what some people might think, I never applied to be in this movie. Other people put our name out there, and we got a call from the producer, that a message. They were wanting to talk to me on Skype, and I was like, wow, I looked into this, and I was like, wow, this is really cool, vegan movie. They were wanting all these people to put in their stories and this, that, and the other. Well, they contacted me, talked to me, and I had, Dixie Chick here in my arms, and I was talking to them, and they met Dixie Chick, and and so, we got picked out of 700 entries. There was 700 stories that were submitted. We were one. Genesis was one. What's that lady's name?
Sarah, Jill, Samantha.
You're not helping, Dave.
Sally.
The four major stories. Yassine, Jerry Hasty, I think is her name.
Way off.
Jerry Hasty and Yassine. I can't think of his last name. It's really I can't even pronounce it if I could read it. So, but anyway, he is a runner that was mentored by Scott Jurek. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's free. It's an online free download. It's a nonprofit. Eric Day is the producer, and Scott Lacey is the director, and a fellow by the name of Ian Stout is the cinematographer. And they did the most amazing job of really bringing to life these stories, of which we were just a part of. We started the story, we were in the middle of the story, and we ended the story. And all these other stories were woven in with folks like Philip Wallen, Gene Bauer, Richard Simmons, or Russell Simmons. Not Richard Simmons.
Different Simmons. Definitely different Simmons.
Russell Simmons, Moby.
Ed Begley Jr.
Yeah, there was all these amazing. I had no idea this was happening when they were here videoing or doing footage on us. I had no idea. What's that guy's name with the rainbow diet? Not Philip Wallen, but Will Tuttle. I had no idea Will Tuttle was going to be playing this elegant piano piece and talking about, his, vegan journey. I had no idea that Scott Jurek was going to be in the movie. I had no idea these vegans were just going to be, and Nathan Runkle, with Mercy for Animals.
I know Nathan.
Huh?
I know Nathan. Well, I work for MFA.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So just when I saw the movie for the first time, I was like, this movie is really helping people, because there's not a movie like this where, there's nothing gory in it. There's a scene in there where Dr. Sophia Anita Ochoa tells the story about a white cow that goes to the slaughterhouse, one that she really got a bond with. And she was actually here at the sanctuary during our fundraiser, our first fundraiser, when she told that story. And I actually saw the video that she was talking about. But she tells a story about this white cow that's so compelling that you can actually have your own experience by just listening to her. So I would recommend this. I mean, you can watch it, not be afraid to share it. Some people are like, kind of put off by a lot of the images and imagery sometimes. I force myself to watch a lot of that stuff, but anymore I just get really kind of, I'm so, I guess, inundated.
Yeah,
I can't do it anymore. I know.
Yeah, we'll have a link to it in the show notes so people can get everyone listening can, if you go to our site and go to the show notes for this episode, you'll be able to get to it. Actually, it'll be CuriouslyVegRadio.com/episode 21. Actually.
So we'll have all that up, but yeah, this what I like about this movie is usually when I'm talking to people that are veg curious or even not vegan and having a conversation with them, they're going to be very turned off to the Earthlings. I never recommend Earthlings first. I always say it's an important movie. I really couldn't get through it. I just because I'm visual, it drug me down so much. But movies like this that give you that experience and then makes you start thinking and then starting a conversation, because that's really what we need. We need to have the Stormy conversation. We need to have that talk and give these animals a voice, and really make you look at what you are inside and what your choices are doing. And not, like I said, nobody wants to be told they're wrong, but I want you to think about everything that you do affects someone. Yeah.
And little Genesis, I don't want to leave her out, because little Genesis and her whole family was in the story. Genesis is 8 years old, and she's making a difference as a little animal rights activist all over the country, and her family is supporting her. She was in the movie. David Carter was in the movie. The 300-pound vegan.
Yeah.
And he told me, I met him at the Animal Rights Conference. I got to meet so many people. It was so awesome. But he told me that he used to play, I think, for the Dallas Cowboys. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, really? Well, I didn't watch football much. I wouldn't know him.
He's a big old boy, too.
Yeah.
But, but he was what?
He said he's a big old boy, too.
He's a big old boy, and he's so sweet.
Yep. He'll be here for the Atlanta Vegan Fest, so I'm trying to get him on the show so we can actually get there and talk with him a little bit, because that's one thing I like, is I think because we have so many sports people coming out, especially playing football, that we're debunking the weak vegan myth, and you've got these people that are positive role models for a newer generation. So
Atlanta's a vegan fest?
Yep. Veg Fest. I don't think we're speaking this year, but we'll probably be around the floor with our cameras. So,
you want to hear from Tommy?
Yeah, bring Tommy on. Hey, Tommy.
This is Curiously Veg. Come here and sit down and talk to him.
Hey, I'm right in the middle of hauling hay. I got 3 more loads of guys waiting on me, and the guy needs an invoice out here. He needs a check for $710, Renee.
Okay. I came a while ago, but
this man is opportunistic, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Huh?
This man is opportunistic, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, thanks for saying hey, Tommy. It's a pleasure actually see you.
We gotta pay the bulldozer out there.
Yeah, he's waiting on you.
He's waiting on me. He's been waiting for me because of this interview. But he can come in here and listen.
I'll tell him.
You learn something.
We'll let you get back to what you do, but
I'll definitely longer.
But put it like this.
You gotta meet the bulldozer man, right?
All right. But I do want to bring you back on the show. Because this has been a blast. I always have a hoot talking with you. I mean, that's one thing good about going to Lashville Vegan Fest is we got to meet you. I don't really think we had a choice. You kind of came up and you were our best friend at the beginning. So you were the only one that teamed up against me against Dave. So
yes, I remember.
And nobody can resist your twisty mustache.
I've been messing with it the whole time. It's hot here in Georgia, so it's starting to unravel.
It tells you what the weather's like. All you gotta do is just watch it.
We keep it real. We keep it real and rowdy.
Really do.
I don't think we got to ask her the big question last time.
Oh yeah, Dave has. This is the question we ask everybody on our show, and we have to ask it before we let you go.
Yes. So if you could write a letter to yourself before you made your plant-based journey, what would you say?
Before I made my plant-based journey, if I could write a letter to myself, I would say, self, remember that you are a member of the earth. You are a member of the earthlings. You are here as an earthling, not to oppress other earthlings, but to be one with them. I would say, remember, look down from the universe and see one earth, of which we're all a part of. And we're all here to see we have a universe, one verse, one song. That's the way I look at universe, one verse. There's not 2 verses, there's not three verses. I would say to self, remember, we all are singing the same song. Listen. Stop talking and listen.
I love that
so
much.
Well
that
done.
was awesome.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Well, this has been an awesome podcast. I said we got to have you back on. Thank you for sharing the beautiful story of Stormy. I'm so glad that we got to hear her life. There she is.
No.
And I'm glad that the farm is getting there. And like I said, people, guys, really spread the word. If you can't donate, share. If anything, write some well wishes. Listen to these animal stories. Watch the Vegan Everyday Stories. Send her some email. Give her some support. Tell her that glad that she's doing what she's doing, and because we need some positivity. Because I know you got a lot on you, honey. And,
Texas is going vegan.
That's it.
I don't think it has a choice with you, hon.
Keeping it rowdy.
Keeping it rowdy. Bringing a storm and keeping it rowdy.
That's it.
Keeping it rowdy.
Well, go take care of your
bulldozer man.
Bulldozer man.
Yeah, I give him his check. Peace out.
Absolutely.
All right,
Bye,
sweet.
honey.
I'll see you, sweet. There's so many songs about rainbows.
Why is this the only thing you impersonate?
All right, never mind.